Cracking, ladies and gentlemen, 49 coming out another community shoutcast for the OUSA Dota League Season 1. Just loading into game number 3 of 2IP up against Bambi Rising. Game 2 was an incredibly intense 70-minute slugfest with both teams duking it out. The Ruckus. 2IP were eventually able to secure the victory with some fantastic defensive play coming out from Bambi Rising, utilizing the vacuumed wall combination from Mujrim in conjunction with the Battle Fury build over on the Ember Spirit. They were able to get a lot of lucky cleaves, and off the back of that, were actually able to turn the game around. However, they underestimated the power of the Witch Doctor ward, especially with the Aghanim Scepter. That finally turned the game in 2IP's favor. Joining me as co-cast is the captain from Horseman the Ruckus, HoR.kin.killa. How you doing, buddy?
Radiant Team Ban.
Nope. Looks like he must have forgotten to turn on open mic. I'll just quickly message him.
Dire Team Ban.
So 2IP, this time with first pick. Bambi Rising going to be leading with first pick so far, so they're banning out Invoking an instant respect ban. Hey buddy, how you doing?
Yeah, good man.
Buddy, 70-minute game. I'm hoping it's for another intense series.
Jesus, 70 minutes, that's just torture us.
Yeah, it's just it really is, right? You're right on that. It's mental fortitude.
5
Just being able to
seconds
constantly
remaining.
stay focused after two incredibly long games. The first game was something like 40 to 50 minutes.
Reserve time.
God, it's like playing a Tiki's game.
Yeah, pretty much. There was a moment I thought 2IP had fucked it because they got completely team wiped 3 times in a row trying to take the tops of the racks, just because Mujrim was able to get some great vacuum wall combinations and they got a few cleaves off with the Ember Spirit Slayer Fist. But then Bambi Rising, they went for a push mid, and for once they weren't able to lock down Thundercon on the Witch Doctor, and he got a single full duration cast of his ultimate that just bounced through the entire team, just pretty much turned the game around. And from that point, Bambi Rising was just on the back foot. But Weaver being picked up by 2IP, so it could be Yoda playing the offlane Weaver. He likes to do that in the 1v1 kind of position.
10 seconds remaining.
Bambi Rising, 2 respect bans, then Nagastarim banning out Yoda's prowess in that hero, and Lycanthrope,
5 seconds
Wolfcon's best heroes. They're picking up the Ancient Apparition as their tri-lane support.
Radiant Team.
Slark is still in the pool, but I don't think Bambi Rising actually plays Slark or are very confident with him. Because he's a hero that really is contingent on how effective the player is in order to be really effective. So if we've seen teams pick up Slark in the past, haven't really been all that effective, but they pick up the Centaur Warrunner. So Mujrim, MVP at game number 1, did a very good job at game number 2 in keeping his team in the game over on his signature hero, that Centaur Warrunner. Such an incredibly powerful 1v1 hero. Although, again, in a 1v1 matchup with Weaver against Centaur Warrunner, who would you actually give the advantage to there, HoR.kin.killa?
I'd say I'd rather be the Weaver.
Yeah, especially since Yoda, and when he goes in the 1v1 situation with the Weaver, he actually likes to max out Gemini attack. Just because Weaver hits like a truck, and with Gemini attack, you're trading a lot more damage than the Centaur Warrunner. Since if you pick up even a single point in return, you are trading some, but the fact that Gemini attack adds an extra attack every 2-3 seconds
10 seconds
really
remaining.
hurts. So Visage banned out, so 2IP banning out Bambi's signature hero. So 2 respects bans for them so far. I think 5-100 plays Invoker, but Invoker first ban is pretty standard. So Bambi Rising, their third ban, they've let through the Dazzle once again. Too easy over on the Dazzle, played absolutely out of his mind. Was able to get some fantastic Shallow Graves off, keep his teammates alive, and as well as the fact that Dazzle, he scales incredibly well into the later stages of the game, just because Weave just gives you so much negative armor and bonus armor for your team, so it synergizes really well with the Weaver, as well as the fact that Shallow Grave, it just scales, it's 5 seconds of complete invulnerability from death at all stages in the game, so it's always useful. Respect ban once again to Yoda over in that Bat Rider, who was able to get some brilliant initiations off, was really able to shut down 5-200 over in the Ember Spirit for the first half of the game, and later on was able to lock down Ghoulie or Mujrim to be able to prevent them from doing their thing. So 2IP over with the 4th ban.
10 seconds
They know that the
remaining.
offlane's been decided as well as the tri-lane, although Bambi Rising in game number 1 did run a tri-lane
5
Centaur,
seconds remaining.
but that was more due to the fact that 2IP rotated the lanes, the supports around a lot, and
Radiant
didn't
team
really
ban.
effectively clash try-be-try, so that was more on their side. And the respect ban coming out from 2IP, banning out Curry's Rubik, especially the fact that Weaver is around. Rubik is an excellent counterpick support hero when you're up against certain heroes such as the Weaver, or heroes such as the Viper that have either incredibly powerful abilities that you could
10
steal,
seconds
such as
remaining.
Sakuchi, or they only have one ability, so if Viper throws out his ultimate, you steal it, return it back to him,
5 seconds
and
remaining.
use that to help mitigate his effectiveness, or even a hero like a Faceless Void. Respect ban
Radiant
once again coming up from Bambi Rising, banning out the Chaos Knight. Wolfcut was able to do so much work in that game, just because of the fact that Chaos Knight gets very buff very quickly, just builds a lot of tanky strength items, pops that Phantasm, so you've got, he had something like 4.4k in that last game with a Satanic as well, so if you happen to get him low enough, you just pop on Holy Rage and smack himself back up to full HP. What are your thoughts on the pickup so far, King.Killa?
I like that next pick.
Dire team pick.
Very sexual.
Although from the look of it, most likely will be a tri-lane Nick, since you usually want Centaur Warrunner to be the offlaner. And Witch Doctor once again.
Radiant team pick.
2IP busting out the power of dubstep. Thundercunt was the single reason why 2IP were able to win that game, just because he was able to pretty much win 3 fights on his own with that uninterrupted Death Ward. Completely ripping apart Bambi Rising.
They really like to live dangerously, don't they?
Yeah, they're the only team I've seen successfully pull off the Witch Doctor.
Healers against an AA.
Yeah. That's another thing to keep in mind. Ice Blast completely removes the effectiveness of
10 seconds
Dazzle's Shadow Wave, as well as Witch Doctor's Voodoo Restoration.
5 seconds
There's
remaining.
2 strong controllers here for doing the pink if they want to stand.
Yeah, Next
Reserve
Assassin's
time.
actually a pretty good counter to the Weaver, just because Mana Burn controls him very well, but while all these bans were happening, they let through the Luna, so Ghoulie is going to be having an absolute ball of a time. That's an incredibly powerful aggressive tri-lane. We've got the Ancient Apparition, the Nyx Assassin, and the Luna.
Radiant team
Very surprising they chose to pick up the Wraith King. 2IP like to do this a lot. Wraith King in conjunction with the Weaver is a fantastic combination. Since Wraith King, he works best as a second fiddle to another carry. Since if he's your only carry, Nyx Assassin can control him by burning off his mana, so he can't get that reincarnate off. But if you have another carry such as the Weaver, you actually want them to focus you. Since he's able to run around the backhand, and if you focus the Weaver, then Wraith King just gets up in your face and stuns you.
10 seconds remaining.
Forces you to kill him, and then he pops the reincarnate. 75% movement and attack speed snap.
5 seconds
Could be
remaining.
absolutely critical. So Wolfcunt likes to play balls to the wall. Let's hope he doesn't go for greedy items this time. Since in game number 1, he went for that Midas, kind of dicked around for a bit, chose to pick up the Sacred Relic before the Basher, so he's building towards that Abyssal Blade, wasn't able to finish it in the end, and that cost him the game. Outworld Destroyer, picked up by Bambi Rising, so 5-200. He must be very confident in his OD if they're picking up, especially in game number 3. And 2IP actually banning out the Puck, which is one of Mule's signature heroes. Bit surprising that they chose to ban out the Puck. I guess they're fearing the teamfight power coming out with the Dream Coil into Blink Hoof Stomp, then follow with the Ice Blast. That's a lot of hurt coming out from Bambi Rising. So 2IP, Viper still is available, so they could actually choose to pick up the Viper.
10 seconds
But
remaining.
who would you like to pick up against the Outworld Destroyer though, King.Killa? I mean, you're a mid player, so you understand that matchup quite
5
intimately.
seconds remaining.
Oh god. I suppose he could get a Razor, because they're all targeted.
Reserve
Yeah,
time.
that's true. And Razor does do a lot of work against
Slow.
heroes like Centaur, since he has to get up in your face.
Yeah, they've got just enough slow and stun on their team, but they're really going to have to rely on some farm and some good early game plays here.
But at the same time, you have to keep in mind the issue with Outworld Destroyer, and one of the reasons why he's fallen off a lot in this meta is he, like a Darkseer, he needs a lot of momentum before he starts to pick up steam. He has to completely dominate his lane, get a lot of gold and a lot of experience before he can start contributing actively in ganks and fights. And while during all of that, he's very squishy and pretty easy to kill off if he gets called out of position, or if supports rotate over. Especially with the combination of the Dazzle and the Witch Doctor. So you've got the Paralyzing Cast, follow up with the Poison Touch, and you just right-click him down. Dazzle and Witch Doctor right-click very hard for range support heroes. They both have 600 range, while Dazzle's got about 550. And you've also got the stun coming out from the Wraith King. So Outworld Destroyer, while on paper he's an excellent mid hero, you really have to draft him with other heroes in mind, and Viper's being picked up, so Mule's going to be playing him.
Play.
Yeah, excellent hero to counteract the Outworld Destroyer.
Such copycats, eh?
Yeah, you guys are the ones that started the Viper as a counter pick trend, and now everyone's fucking doing it. But Mule, probably the most underrated mid player in the ODL1. He's incredibly methodical. Usually for mid players, they like to be very flashy, going for kills, play very aggressive. But there's another type of mid player, kind of similar to Ice and Mushi. They play very safe, very passive. They win the lane passively by getting a lot of denies, ensuring that they're able to out-CS the enemy mid. They force them to overcommit or make a mistake, and then they go for the kill. That's the kind of mid player Mule is. He's very clinical in his play, ensures that he never goes for an engagement unless he knows he can come out of it alive or get a kill. Wolfcunt over in the carry playing that Wraith King. Yoda team captain for 2IP. Over on the Weaver is going to be going over in the off lane. Could be 1v1 since I think Bambi Rising would like to clash try. Too easy over on the Dazzle, and Thundercunt over on the Witch Doctor. So bit of smack talk coming up from Wolfie. And Mule over on the mid Viper. Over on the offlane, we have Mujrim, the signature hero, that Centaur Warrunner. He is so goddamn good with that hero. He deserves a respect ban. He's able to consistently land 2 3-man hoof stomps, and his initiation in game number 1 was the reason why Bambi Rising was to win that game. 5/200 dead Bambis, this time called Linda Power, over on the Outworld Destroyer. He's going for his pretty standard items, although this time he's picking up a lot more regeneration, so he recognized the fallacy of his last build, which was relying on the pooled regen to get that early bottle. Since Outworld Destroyer doesn't necessarily have to build bottle, it's not a bad idea to go for that build. Bambi the Retarded Cheer, team captain for Bambi Rising, over in the Ancient Apparition. His signature hero is the Visage, but he's also a very competent Ancient Apparition player. Ghoulie, carry player, over on the Luna, so he's going to be that tri-lane Luna, and Curry over on the Nyx Assassin. It's a tri-lane Nyx Assassin, so he does lose a lot of his potency, just because you do need to hit level 6 fairly early on to make effective use of the Vendetta ganks. But that Impale, as well as the Spike carry pace, do offer you a lot of power. And so too easy, saying that you'll make him, if you watch him, will make him famous. Mule actually screwing up the creep block there, gives a huge advantage in favor of 5/200, but never mind, looks like he screwed up the creep block as well. But even so, Outworld Destroyer is over in the high ground. This is critical, especially as a Viper, just because it means that if you can't see them, you can't trade hits with the Orb Harass. That means that Outworld Destroyer is able to get a free CS over the mid lane. He's playing very defensively. He's fearing the fact that the supports could rotate over, since he knows that in a vacuum, Viper will single-handedly beat the Outworld Destroyer. So he's recognizing the fact that the supports will most likely rotate in at level 1 to try to shut him down. But Mule, very uncharacteristic of him, getting severely out-CS'd by 5/200. Let's do the fact that Outworld Destroyer has superior base damage, and the fact that he's able to get more base damage by stealing your intelligence. But there we go, Mule's starting to turn around. He's going in for this Orb Harassment, and most likely will be choosing to get early points up in the Nether Toxin, since it allows him to trade much more effectively. So the lower your HP is, the more damage he hits for. Yeah, that second point up in Nether Toxin also helps you CS, since half the DPS from the Nether Toxin actually applies on creeps. Yoda fleeing for his life from Bambi. He's got to be very careful, just he's only got level 1 Sakuchi. Level 1 Sakuchi has a very long downtime, that's the thing you have to keep in mind. Weaver is incredibly squishy, actually choosing to start with a Stout Shield. I actually heavily disagree with this. Weaver, you want to build stats, you don't need a Stout Shield. If you're getting hit at all, it's a bad thing.
I think he made the right call in this situation, because Ancient Apparition is just going to be a douchebag.
But even then, you'd get more EHP from building a Ring of Protection, just because the Chilling Touch doesn't really care about the damage block from the Stout Shield.
It's true. A reputation would have been good.
Yeah, and it helps you build towards your Ring of Basilius, which is usually a core item for Weaver. Outworld Destroyer goes in for the Astral, but cops a lot of harassment in return. He's gone for Bottle. So I've noticed this as a trend. Outworld Destroyer goes for Bottle now, especially with the fact that Essence Aura was significantly nerfed a few patches ago. He used to proc on items, and so you used to see Outworld Destroyer build a Buckler as soon as possible, since you could proc Essence Aura off the Buckler, and that will give you sustainability. As well as back when Tranquil Boots used to be toggleable, you used to see Outworld Destroyers build Tranquil Boots a lot. Quick pause coming out from Wolfcunt, saying he's got a phone call. What's happening? Mujrim, he's picked up a free level 2, so he's doing very well. Wraith-kin going for his pretty standard build, gets a magic one as soon as possible, maxes out stun in addition to the crit. Dazzle doing a bit of pulling, using that to get himself some gold while it's happening. And Thundercunt, he's going to be babysitting, so he's going to be throwing out a few right clicks, but with that level 2 return, Moondream is able to return a fair amount of damage back to him. So it'll be interesting to see what build Thundercunt goes for. In the last game, he maxed out the Malediction because he was up against the Darkseer, so he recognized that the Paralyzing Cask is effectively useless against them, and so having more points in the Malediction increases the likelihood of getting a kill. So he might do the same in this case, just because Centaur Warren is an incredibly tanky hero, and you have a surprising amount of burst damage coming out from the Wraith-kin with the stun, especially if you get to lucky crit in. So you can use that to be able to win. It looks like Mule has recovered quite handily from his pretty terrible start. Is just barely beating the Outworld Destroyer, but considering Outworld Destroyer relies on completely shutting down mid, Mule's more than happy to take that trade, even if he's slightly ahead or if he just breaks even, he's very happy. Although keep in mind, all the Astrals has sapped away all his mana, and Poison Attack just does drain 20 mana per cast. But another reason why the Outworld Destroyer has tapered off his mid is that his Astral Imprisonment actually was bugged in the past, where when you stole the intelligence from them and you drained portion of their mana, once the debuff wore off, you actually lost that mana permanently. Now it's been bug fixed, so that when the intelligence returns to you, you regain the mana that you lost. And so that was a critical factor, since it meant that before, Astral Imprisonment was actually overpowered just because it permanently burned off your mana. So not only did it reduce your intelligence temporarily, it effectively reduced your mana pool to 0. Now that's been bugged, Outworld Destroyer...
You don't regain your mana, just at an equivalent percentage to what you're sitting at the time?
Yeah. Well, it's... Before, since it took it away, it was basically kind of like regaining your mana, since it pretty much completely fucked you over mid. So Mule choosing to max out... the Nether Toxin. Could choose to get a second point up in the Corrosive skin. I know that a lot of Viper players like yourself like to get a second point in the Poison attack, just because it helps you orb harass a lot better with that 20% snare. But Mule, very confident, just with that 10%.
Is not significant when Viper's sitting at 335 movement speed with boots.
Yeah. And you see Outworld Destroyer getting bullied out of lane. Maxing out that Nether Toxin makes his right clicks hurt like hell. So even with that Bottle Crow and with the extra regeneration that he started with, he's been heavily zoned out. Yoda picking up a fair amount of EXP. Considering he's 1v3 as a Weaver, Weaver's an incredibly squishy 1v3 hero, just because if you drop a Sentry, you remove his only form, his defense capability, which is that Sakuchi. So he's punishing the fact that Bambi Rising don't have any reliable lockdown. They've got the Nyx Assassin, but if Weaver's able to spot him moving towards him and Sakuchi out in time, very difficult to land Impale, especially with the fact that it no longer auto targets. So before, if you casted the enemy hero move, as long as you casted on them, you would actually auto adjust halfway through the cast animation. Now you actually have to land it from the get-go.
Interesting glitch on the Hilltop Priest at the top, it's not healing itself.
Huh.
And now it's dead.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. The Hilltop Priest is actually one of the most difficult creep camps to clear out for some junglers, just because of the fact that you constantly heal the other creeps. But I guess he was bugged for whatever reason.
Catch on Mule, no, he's got the emitter, and there it is.
Mule going for a cheeky rotation. He's just picked up his ultimate, and you see Ghoulie immediately backing away. You do not want to deal with a level 6 Viper when you're level 4, when you don't have Eclipse to duke it out. But while it's happening, he's wasted a lot of time over in the mid lane. And 5-200, he's very happy with this. He's able to pick up as much CS as he can. He knows that the only way he's going to be able to turn this game around is if he gets a lot of farm. That's the issue I have with Outworld Destroyer as a hero, is he does need a fair amount of golden EXP to become effective. Choosing actually to skip Sanity's Eclipse for a third point over in the Essence Aura. What are your thoughts on this game,
middle tower is under attack. It has no arms to defend itself.
I personally don't agree with it.
Yeah, because I felt like,
Where he's coming from.
especially when you're against a Viper who has...
Completely disagree. Yeah, if it's an agile character, you know, it's such a significant nuke.
Yeah, Sanity's Eclipse hurts a hell of a lot, but I guess he's not actually even getting right clicks on Mule to begin with. So,
6-minute Midas by Warrunner. Pretty good effort.
oh Jesus, Ghoulie farming away like a madman. So going for the greedy Luna build, but I guess if you've been unpunished with a 6-minute Midas, considering the fact that Wolf can't most likely will be going for a Midas of his own, his will be about 2 minutes delayed, so you'll be looking at like an 8 to 9 minute Midas coming out from him. In terms of CS, we see Ghoulie is by far leading the scoreboards, 37 for 9, pretty good CS coming out from him. He has missed a fair few, since it would be about 40 to 43 to 44 if he had gotten every single one, but all in all, not a bad effort. Considering that Wolf.kin he hasn't gotten as much CS compared to the Luna, even though he's only against one hero. Just because Centaur Warrunner, you always have that threat of the hoof stomp with the double edge, so it makes you very wary, as well as the fact that he hits like a truck, just because he has such high stat gain. So Centaur Warrunner against the melee carry can actually zone them out and take a fair amount of CS from them. Outworld Destroyer playing very safe.
Heading to a rescue, potentially.
Yeah, so he'll be picking up, yeah, that looks like an 8-minute Midas. Astral's once again over on Viper, keeping him low so he doesn't have enough mana to use his ultimate. But with a haste rune, Mule actually could look to go for an engagement over on the Outworld Destroyer, but he's playing it safe. He knows there's no point in throwing his advantage. He might as well just keep sitting there passively farming gold and try to passively beat the Outworld Destroyer that way. Thundercant over in the jungle, using his Paralyzing Cast to farm. It's one of the underrated aspects of the Paralyzing Cast, because it does 100 damage when it bounces the creeps, as well as stunning them for 5 seconds. And so you actually can pick up a fair amount of gold that way. Similar to the Crystal Maiden.
7 minutes 40.
7 minutes 40, so yeah, only a minute 40 delay from the Luna. Not a bad effort coming out from Wolf.kin. He's got level 6 now, so he's got Reincarnate.
When the Wraith can have lifesteal before the Luna can farm it, means it's just a slightly farming character for the next sort of 10 minutes.
Yeah. Actually, I think Midas is a pretty good pickup on Wraith King. Just because you want to hit your level 2 ultimate as soon as possible, and the EXP you get from Midas makes that a lot happen. And the fact that as a strength hero is pretty poor agility gain, the Midas gives you a lot of attack speed, scales well into the late game. We've finally got a rotation happening from Kari, who just picks up the regeneration rune out of spite, denies it to Mule. Would actually like to see the supports rotating from Bambi Rising, just because they know they could leave Luna alone against the Weaver. Especially when you're this far ahead compared to Yoda. He's just barely keeping himself in the game right now. Going for the traditional build, maxing out the Sakuchi. 1 in Swarm, 1 in the Gemini attack. He knows that he can't do anything cheeky, since if he's caught out of position, he will instantly die. But with that time lapse, he's significantly hard to kill now. We see, even though Mule's picked up a haste rune, he's still not going for anything crazy. He's just sitting there content to passively beat the Outworld Destroyer by out-CSing him. Pick up the key items for his team. Could be an early mech coming... Yeah, it looks like an early mech coming out from Viper. He'll be finishing that in about 2 more minutes. So once he finishes that mech, 2IP have that superior mid-game presence where they could go in and go for kills. The Stampede's been popped. Astral imprisonment, keeping him in place. Where's that hoof stomp? Impale flies out as well. Mule's going to be taking forward. Support's rotating in. Nevermind, he turns around over to Mudream. Yoda TPs and they instantly back away. What the hell was this? Where was the Sandy's Eclipse from the Outworld Destroyer? That should have been an easy kill. But instead, they burn out. So two heroes rotate over. They waste a level 1 Stampede, which is quite significant. It's got a 90-second cooldown. And Outworld Destroyer isn't able to do anything off that.
The Dire's bottom tower doesn't even have arms to defend. Dire's structures are fortified.
They expected maybe a Dazzle or potentially another support to rotate.
Yeah, but Yoda
Already made the decision.
playing super defensive.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Bit of a lag spike happening on my end. Hopefully it should rectify itself. I'm actually right next to the modem, so ORCON please. So Viper choosing to max out the corrosive skin. You saw how much work that did in keeping himself alive. It's a quite significant increase in his EHP. Since I think at level 2, yeah, 15% magic resistance. So it's about 40% magic resistance on top of the base hero one. So you saw how much damage it mitigated with that hoof stomp as well as the double edge. Keeping him alive. Instantly turned around and Viper strike the Centaur Warrunner since Mule recognized that Centaur Warrunner would be the one most likely to drop himself low with that double edge. So with a few more right clicks, Viper actually could at least make it a trade. So great recognition coming up from Mule. Outworld Destroyer playing a lot more aggressive now. He's still hasn't skilled his ultimate. He's going to hit level 9 soon, so hopefully he'll pick up a point in his ultimate. He's almost got his 4-star, about 900 gold off that. Wraith King actually TPing over to the bottom lane. So they're going to switch it up now, give Yoda some space. Since I know that with the Reincarnate, it's a lot more difficult. Stampede pops as well, so double damage. Yoda's hanging around the wings. They could go for a kill over on Ghoulie. On the back of this, where's that Hellfire Blast? He pops, and Ghoulie's going to be taking a fall. Excellent trade coming out. Never mind that. Eclipse almost kills Yoda. He time-lapses out. Very delayed time-lapse. He actually could have taken the fall. And Bambi also takes the fall with that Shallow Wave, sorry, keeping him alive. Astral's up the Wraith King to burn off his mana, but excellent rotation coming out from Wolfcott. So he knows that with the ultimate up, he can face tank as much as he wants. They burn off a Stampede as well as an Eclipse. So Luna is no longer an issue for them for the next 2 minutes. And that looks like a free tower 1 tower. Mule's picked up his mechanism.
I feel sad for
and so 2IP in a very commanding lead of the game right now, since I know that any 5-on-5 engagement, they're going to win since HN Apparition, no Ice Blast on him. Almost hit level 6, but he died during that engagement. So Wolfcott able to provide 2 assists, so Yoda able to get a kill. I believe the last one went to too easy. He was able to snag it with that Shadow Wave. And free tower 1 tower over in the bottom lane. 2IP instantly backing away. They know they're taking what they can. And while it's happening, Curry, he's able to pick up level 6 in Arcane Boots. So he's able to do the best he can. Phase Boots up on the Wraith King gives him that much more chasing and team fighting capability. Double Edge used to farm creep since he's got the Tranquil Boots and Moodream's got nothing to fear. Tranquil Boots a fantastic pickup on Centaur Warrunner for that reason. And Viper looks like he's going to go for treads. Actually, my internet's just... What was that?
Got that spike as well. Outworld Destroyer made a fundamental error not leveling Arcane Orb before sort of level 7ish. Now he's level 9, you know. Having 4 levels less from him when you're not comboing it.
What's the rationale behind getting a point in the Arcane Orb? Because I've always felt that unless you have a level 4 Essence Aura, Arcane Orb isn't really worth it.
Yeah, it's just the power of orb walking. I feel like when used correctly, it makes your attack, you know, twice as effective almost.
Right. That's definitely true.
No aggro draws.
Yep.
And, you know,
Stampede pops. Defensively, so fairing Yoda there, who just moved in throughout the bugs. I just feel that the Arcane Orb, just because it drains so much of your mana, without a level 4 Essence Aura, it doesn't give you a huge increase in DPS.
he's done.
Yeah, those casks are really saving him.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So OD, 5-200 playing a very old school Outworld Destroyer build. I really do question the lack of that Sandy's Eclipse, and that would have been a first blood against Mule. That would have meant that he would have had his 4-staff by now. Also would have shut down Viper's dominance over him in the mid lane. Ancient Apparition Ice Blast going to catch out too. Thundercant as well as Mule. So they have got to be playing very safe now. No mech up on Mule for the next 10 seconds until the Shadow debuff wears off. It's already worn off. Never mind. It's level 1. Ultimates will only last for about 8 seconds. Treads up on Viper. So Viper's incredibly tanky. Treads and Mechanism are great pickups over on the Viper. Especially if you get such a great early start, because it provides a substantial increase in your EHP. Since the Viper's alive, he's going to kill you just because he'll out-DPS you through Nether Strike. Through Nether Toxin, as well as that Viper Strike being to lock you in place, give him those free hits. We've got a Vendetta gank coming in with Mujrim also hanging around the side. Wolfguard turns around, stuns him. There's a Sentry Ward placed there. Fantastic Sentry placed by 2 but 2-man Hoofstomp, as well as the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast. That looks like a double kill. And OD even drops the hammer for that. Yeah, evens up the score. And they get a deny, so great plays coming out from Curry, as well as Mujrim, able to land that 2-man Hoofstomp. There's a reason why Centaur Warrunner was respect banned in game number 2. He is too damn good on that hero. But looking like a pretty even game so far. It's going to do a quick golden EXP check. 1000 EXP in favor of Bambi Rising for those 2 kills he has got there. In terms of gold, only 500.
Tower is under attack.
So that's just due to the fact that Ghouli's been getting so much gold. He's gotten 84 CS, so he's CSing like a madman. With that Midas as well, he's going right towards the BKB with the Ogre Club already up on him. No funny misses coming out from the Luna. Recognizes that they're going to be clashing very early, and so once that BKB eclipse, actually chose to go for 4 points up in the Lunar Blessing. I've noticed a lot of carry players, especially Eternal Envy, they usually stick with 3 points in the Lunar Blessing, then pick up a point over in the Glaive because it helps them flash farm. Since when you're level 9, when the laning phase is broken down, when the tower's actually gone down, so having that point in the Glaive actually does help you farm faster. But Luna in this case, choosing to max out that Lunar Blessing, since it does provide a substantial increase in DPS. The scaling isn't as good though. Oh, go on.
Seems to me like there's 2 schools of thought on the Lunar play really. You're either going to farm Midas, or you're going to farm Helm's Dominator and stack Ancients with it.
Yeah.
I think he's lucky in the fact that his team is stacking some Ancients at the moment.
That's one of the things that distinguishes high-level support play from regular support players. The fact that the supports are always, whenever you're not doing anything actively to help out your team, you should always be stacking and pulling, and ensure that that way, when your carry has enough time to be able to pick up that farm, you can really use it to accelerate his GPM, make him a lot more effective earlier on. Mujrim almost killing himself using...
Very skilled play there by Mujrim, using putting down his Tranquil Boots before he farms the creep, so that he instantly gets the buff.
Yeah, that's the thing to keep in mind. When you get attacked or attack, it instantly breaks the Tranquil Boots. And so a lot of high-level players, when they're playing heroes such as the Centaur Warrunner, or even the Meepo, when they pick up the Tranquil Boots on him, you drop it right before you go in for attack, so that way you can pick it up once again and use it to immediately get that regeneration. Defensive weave popped on 3. Instant teleportations coming out from Bambi Rising. They don't want to give up any more than they already have. Stampede pop, the Astral being able to lock Mule in place. Yoda's almost out of mana though, so you have to keep him in mind. Eclipse being popped on Ghoulie. Actually going to kill Wolfguard, but he's got Reincarnate, so he doesn't actually care. Finally kills him with a Lucent Beam, but he reincarnates back. And Yoda and Wolfguard actually catch out Outworld Destroyer, who overcommitted the defensive Astral. Bambi's out of mana. He can be taken forward. He's being kind of down by Mules, right-clicking him down. Ancient Apparition Ice Blast whiffs. OD's going to be taken forward. There's no way he can survive this. And that's a triple kill for Mule. Complete team wipe for Bambi. Bambi Rising going to be completely wiped by 2 IP in exchange for 1. Thundercant's more than happy to take that trade. And that's a free tattoo on top of that. 2 IP, very good position in the game right now.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen, and I don't mean in love.
Incredible shallow grave coming out from Dazzle, keeping him alive for as long as possible. Wolfguard forcing out all their spells to be used on him by being an absolute menace. He's got his Armored Medigian now, so he's going to hit for an absolute crap ton, especially with 3 points up in that crit. He actually chose to level up his aura earlier as well, so that gave him a lot of sustainability. Yoda was completely unmolested during all of that. He didn't even use his time lapse, just because he was able to scooch himself out of position. Would actually like to see him pick up a Magic Wand. Magic Wand is probably the first big item you should finish on Weaver after Boots, or you could even skip Boots and pick up Magic Wand. Just because the fact that Sakuchi's 60 mana, so even having 1 charge usually can mean the difference between life and death. Also interesting that he hasn't chosen to pick up a Ring of Basilius, but he picks up instant drums. So pretty standard off-lane Weaver build, not going for the greedy Lincoln Sphere. So he's going for immediate items that impact the rest of his team. Drums is a pretty good pickup on him. Nyx Assassin actually able to pick off Dazzle. Was just doing some farming in the background. Nyx Assassin with that Vendetta able to go in for a gank. It looks like he's going for 4-staff. Easy's not too impressed with that. And Wolfguard smacking down the tail 1 mid. Reincarnate's off cooldown though, so he has to be careful. He can't go straight up balls to wall like he did before.
The Radiant should really do something about that.
But this Wraith-kin.King pick doing a lot of work for 2 IP. It always forces you in that difficult situation of who to focus. And with level 2 Reincarnate, his ultimate cooldown's being significantly reduced. 160 now. Too easy trying to be famous. And Mule going right towards the Aghanim Scepter. I love this build on Viper since it gives you a lot of consistent early to mid game presence. treads and mechanism into treads, then build that Aghanim Scepter. Since Aghanim Scepter on Viper is absolutely horrific, 950 range on that Viper Strike also reduces the cooldown to 12 seconds, so you can usually get it off twice in the team fight. Viper Strike goes through BKB and Rage, so it doesn't give a damn what you've got on you, it will snare you. It's quite a significant snare, 50% right now. I think it goes up to 60%, never mind, goes up to 80%. Also snares attack speed, so if you ult the Outworld Destroyer, it effectively neuters him in fights, since all he can really do then is drop the hammer and that's about it. Since his attack speed's slow enough, not being an agility hero, and having fairly average agility gain, having the Viper Strike debuff on top of that, very powerful ability. Also gives Viper a lot of pick-off potential. Since if a hero is out of position, they underestimate the range of that Viper Strike, you ult them, your team follows them, finishes them off. Incredibly powerful pickup on him, and he's almost golded. He's about 700 gold off. So while on net worth, Ghouli's leading the scoreboard. With the kills and assists that Wraith King's picked up, as well as that Midas, he's actually able to surpass Luna just because she's died so many times in these last engagements. Vendetta gank happening from Curry, so he's out for blood.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
If he's able to get a kill, he'll be able to finish his 4-star. So we're seeing that he's choosing the max out despite Carapace. So traditional Nyx Assassin build coming out from him. Too Easy is the one that's being pinged out, but he actually pings himself defensively since he knows that something's not quite right. Sentry Ward placed in the mid lane, and so Curry actually uses Vendetta to kill a creep. That poor creep never saw it coming. While that's happening, Yoda, he was in the offlane, so he was having a bit of a difficult time. Now he's rotated top, so he's been giving a lot of space to farm, especially since that Wraith King, with his high levels up, with the Armlet Medigian, as well as his ultimate almost off cooldown, he can now farm aggressively. 2IP are a team that love to do this. Whenever they have Yoda and the 1v3 offlane as the Weaver, the instant Wraith King picks up enough levels and gold to be self-sufficient, they rotate Yoda out and place Wraith King over in the aggressive lane, just because I know that if he dies with that reincarnate, it's going to be very difficult to kill him twice. James has returned from red card. How'd that go?
Maggot.
Yeah, I'm co-casting with HoR.kin.killa. Want to say anything to Jesse?
Draft me some fucking Bane, faggot.
Actually, yeah, draft Bane just so I have an excuse to say that Bane is a terrible thing.
Fuck you, cunt.
I feel like the viewers would like some Dota 2 puns.
Go to sleep, bitch. Die, motherfucker, die.
Yeah, also that. BKB picked up by Luna, so now she's reached the peak of her team fighting presence. They actually can choose to take fights right now, but with the reincarnate up on Wolfcon, Luna's effectiveness is actually severely limited in these fights, just because Wolfcon's very happy to tank the entire Eclipse, since he knows he'll be coming right back. He's going for his Cranium Basher. It's a very standard build coming out from Wraith King.
Fuck, imagine if Thundercon was actually decent at Dota.
Bit of smack talk happening. Thundercut with that point booster building towards that Aghanim Scepter. He plays very greedy in the Witch Doctor, and for good reason. He single-handedly pretty much turned the game around in game number 2. 70-minute series, was able to win a series of fights just through the usage of his Witch Doctor ultimate. So Thundercut farming away. Yeah, showing off the power of dubstep.
Wob wob of the eggs on mule is really just going to be torturous.
Oh, sweet Jesus. 22-minute Aghanim Scepter as well as the mechanism. Fuck off, cunt. You're drunk. Level 12 Vipers has got maxed out corrosive skin as well as the Nether Toxin. Makes them very difficult to bring down these engagements, as well as that level 2 ultimate with the Aghanim Scepter upgrade. So if any hero is called out of position, he could use it to neuter Mudream's effectiveness. Especially if he blinks on him. Mudream has a difficult time on who to initiate right now, because we see Easy and Thundercut playing very safe, hanging around, so they're not actually seen. Good plays coming out from them, so they learned their lesson from game number 1. If Mudream can see you, he will kill you, so you want to make sure that the heroes that he initiates on are the tanky ones. Great 2-man Ice Blast coming out from Bambi. Able to clip Wolfcon and Mule. More important for Mule, just because he's the one carrying the mech. Wolfcon doesn't really give a damn, so he's got Reincarnate anyway. So Mudream is actually forced in a very difficult position right now. If he chooses to initiate and doesn't initiate on Wolfcon, Wolfcon will just stun him, and Mule will ult him. Whereas if he initiates on Wolfcon, the entire 2IP team can then counter-initiate. So it's the advantage of picking up Wraith King.
Spamming his ulti. He's got enough range on at least 2 of the heroes.
Yeah, so Ancient Apparition is doing whatever he can.
900 range is really ridiculous.
Something to keep in mind, I guess Mules is playing very safe. He actually has an opportunity to use his ult on Curry right now. Defensive, we popped on 4. Stampy catches out 3! Mudream playing very safe. Shallow Grave popped over on Wolfcon and instantly turns around. Yoda uses time lapse. Curry's gonna be taking a 4. Amazing initiation, but just no follow-up. Where was the Sanity's Eclipse? He could have wiped out 3 heroes off the start of the bat. But while that's happening, Ghoulie split pushes. So you trade a tier 2 for a tier 1, and Thundercut's more than happy to die in exchange for that. Excellent initiation coming up from Mudream, but just no follow-up. If the rest of his team was able to take advantage of that, could have easily been an excellent engagement for Bambi Rising, but alas, close but no Siggy. Cranium Basher picked up on the Wraith King. So with that maxed out Mortal Strike and choosing to max out the Aura now, not only is he hit like a truck, he also has that lockdown that actually could look to take Roshan right now. But at the same time, you have to respect the power of that Ancient Apparition Ice Blast. Since it also provides you reconnaissance, similar to the Clockwork's Rocket Flare, you can use it to scout it out. It's got a low enough cooldown that whenever it's off cooldown, you can afford to just throw it out. Use it to check Roshan.
You notice about that area?
Some kind of Wu-Tang symbol. Not quite.
No woods on the map.
Oh. Yeah, that's something to keep in mind. There's one ward placed by 2IP very aggressively here. But other than that, Bambi Rising,
Going down, but
no ward vision. Yeah, ThunderCon with those D wards has been pretty onto it. You've got some wards being thrown down now by Bambi. Oh, never mind, by Curry.
good work by Luna getting his creep instantly as soon as he's got his Howl of the Dominator and hitting it straight for the Ancients.
Yeah, it's one of those efficiency plays you have to keep in mind, especially when you're playing a hard carry. You have to be as efficient as possible. And so it's just one of those things. It's a pretty small difference, but it adds up very quickly, especially if you're consistent with constantly stacking and pulling. So even though Luna has died twice, hasn't been able to pick up a kill, her teamfight presence has been mitigated, but the fact that she's able to just passively farm up, utilize her Hand of Midas, the farming capability coming out from the Glaives and Helm and Dominator, and using it to dominate creeps, Luna can gradually pick up enough of a gold lead that she can start snowballing. That's the reason why Luna's such a powerful hero, is not only is she consistently powerful all stages of the game, she has inbuilt farming mechanisms. So unlike other carry heroes such as the Spectre, or the Faceless Void, who will out-carry her if the game goes late, Luna can just get more farm than them and snowball over them. Mule invisible.
Reliable AoE on 2IP could hurt.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Now.
Dire's structures are fortified.
That's definitely something to
just
keep in
like
mind. I've got a lot of single target capability, but no real
Radiant
AoE.
structures are fortified. Don't waste time hitting them. Radiant's top tower is under attack. About time. Dire's middle tower.
Yeah,
is
so
all
2AP,
alone.
they're forced to play very manly, but that's the way they like it. And with the fact that they're able to take such a commanding control of the early game, you see that mana burn now. Wolfcup is called out with that 950 range and Nether Strike. Pops the carapace instantly. Great recognition coming out from Curry, and looks like I'm not the only one getting lag spikes. So it looks like the Dota 2 servers must be under a fair amount of strain right now. Imagine with all the people playing. Yeah. So just gonna take a quick pause. Actually, just notice right now, Curry was the drafter for game number 3. Usually it's Bambi the Retarded Chiyu, but I guess they switched it around this time. So it's something to keep in mind. You see the Sentry Ward placed very aggressively by 2IP to counter ward any wards placed by Bambi Rising. So they recognize that with a Luna, Ancient Stacking is going to be the way to turn the game around. And actually, if they scout out the Ancient Stack, they probably could clear it out on their own.
Oh, look at it go.
Say thanks for the gold. Since in terms of map position, Bambi Rising have taken 2 towers, whereas 2IP have taken 6. They've completely cut off Bambi Rising from any safe areas of farm. So they're forced to place wards defensively here, as well as over the top lane. You usually want to place one or the other, just because one of those wards is more than enough to be able to provide you with Rune Vision. Illusion Rune going to be picked up by Yoda. He's almost got his Desolator. It's a huge pickup on him. Interesting they chose not to go for the Lincoln Sphere. The reason why it's such a good pickup on Weaver is because he chews through so much mana by constantly spamming Sakuchi. With the passive regeneration from the Lincoln Sphere is very nice, as well as the fact that with Time Lapse and the Lincoln Sphere being to protect you from single target spells, you're pretty much unkillable so long as you've got fast fingers or fast enough reflexes. But instead, choosing to go for the Drums of Endurance, a much more mid-game oriented fight now build. Medallion of Courage also is a pretty good pickup on Weaver if you're severely underfarmed. Just because the negative armor, especially in conjunction with Gemini Attack and the Swarm, gives you a lot of damage. We see Weaver's actually chosen to max out the Swarm over the Gemini Attack, so it's indicative of the fact that he wants to fight early. Because maxing out Swarm just gives you a substantial amount of mid-game DPS. Mudri.
200 gold on the AI, I suppose that's hitting for a multi-stoke.
Yeah, Ancient Apparition. Bambi knows that he needs the Aghanim Scepter upgrade if he wants to try delay fights or even win fights. He's only got the level 1 ultimate though, so it's not doing as much damage as it could be. With Ancient Apparition, getting a level 2 ultimate as soon as possible is critical. Luna farming up.
There on the ulti. Might even scare them out of their smoke. Oh no, they're gonna do it anyway.
Huh. But no, they're turning around and going for it. with the lifesteal coming out from our Wraith-kin, keep in mind it now works on ranged
Dire's
heroes.
top tower is under
Roshan will be taking a fall very quickly. Probably would give the Aegis the Immortal over the Mule, just because he's an important cornerstone of their team.
What a faggot. He's such a pussy.
Yeah. It's equally effective between Mule and Wolfkin, really.
Yeah, but he's already got the inbuilt reincarnate, so then no lot to focus Wraith-kin to begin with.
No, fuck that.
But I suppose...
Carry 3 times to that fight. It's pretty
Bro,
good.
give him a radiance.
Yeah,
bro.
that's true.
Focus him.
Yeah, just picked up his Desolator, so he's doing a lot of damage. Actually, I guess he doesn't need the Lincoln Sphere passive regeneration, since he knows he's going to get the lifesteal coming out from Wraith-kin.
Nice pick up there by the Weaver. Yeah, I suppose he's pretty effective now.
Yeah, so with that Desolator... Actually, Aegis the Immortal on the Weaver, good pickup on... Pretty decent pickup on him. I guess Mule recognizes he's too tanky to take a fall. 2, he's actually picking up Pipe of Insight. Used simply to counteract the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast. Oh, what the hell? Looks like my internet is completely screwing up. Hopefully I should be back soon. No!
Wait, can we solve it? Let me trash talking.
God damn it. Okay. Plugging in the Ethernet cable.